Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Josh Guillory Show. Man, I am your grateful host, very grateful host. And in studio with me, Walt Diggity Dog, Walker Griffon. What's up, Walt?
What's going on?
Man, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, it really is.
A lot of stuff. Shout out to our Rumble audience out there. Shout out to our KLFY Plus audience and our KPL audience. We love you all. And all the streaming and all the things. Don't want to miss anybody. We love you. And we appreciate you. Walk, man. Stan's Auto. You ever been there?
Have not.
I'm gonna take you there, man. Your next oil change, you need to go there. They sell tires, but they do a whole bunch of stuff. They'll fix your doggone engine if you need them to. It might take a little bit, but they'll do it. And they're really quick. They're really, really quick. I go in there, man. I've had several things that I needed done on my Jeep. One time, a concrete barriers jumped out in front of me on my side door. And Walk, you gotta watch for those things too, man. They come out of nowhere, you know. But Stan's Auto, boop, just like that. Very easy. Stan's Auto. And guess what? 2 locations, Iberia and Lafayette. So right off of Admiral Doyle, right by the old J.P. Thibodeau in New Iberia. And then also in Lafayette off of Ducey, right by Reds. Johnson Street, Ducey, can't get it wrong. They have parking in the back. Don't let that front parking lot confuse you. I know it looks busy because they are busy, but they are efficient. They got the crew over there to really get you in and out. And I know I appreciate that. I think Q does. And now Walker's about to because I'm going to send him over there. All right, and when you do, tell my friend Sterling I said hello. All right, let's talk about a new bill here in Louisiana. This is pretty interesting. So, quick update here. It's actually getting a lot of attention nationally, this particular bill. So, Governor Jeff Landry signed a package of bills strengthening protections for churches and religious services after those you may recall those anti-ICE protesters stormed that church service up in Minnesota earlier this year. You had Don Lemon in there and a whole bunch of stuff. It was absolutely absurd. So, hey, great. Thank you, Governor. Thank you very much. Thank you, Legislature. I think this is wonderful. I mean, I think a lot of folks, I think we remember seeing that video too, man. You know, people barging into a worship service, shouting, causing all kind of hoopla, disrupting the church service, all because they thought somebody in the church worked for ICE. Real rational, Democrats. This ain't happening in the Republican Party. I'm not saying we don't have people that are extreme. I'm just saying this is extremely odd to most people. Turning Sunday worship into political theater is not something that gets people excited. Not for the right reasons, at least. Louisiana lawmakers looked at that mess, and they basically said, not happening here. And I'm telling you, I appreciate that. One of the new laws allows people lawfully on church property to physically remove trespassers or disruptors if they refuse to leave after being told to go. All right. An important point here. You can't use deadly force. So that's in the bill. It has to be reasonable force. Okay? Another bill toughens criminal penalties for disrupting religious services. Jail time can now range from 30 days to up to 6 months. So it's a misdemeanor, depending on the circumstances, of course. And there's another bill heading to Governor Landry's desk creating a new crime called obstruction of the freedom of worship. That particular bill, that one targets people blocking entrances, disrupting services themselves, or interfering with people trying to worship. Now, supporters of this bill say this is very simple. And I think it's very simple, too, to the supporters of that bill. People have a constitutional right to worship peacefully without political mobs storming into churches and religious services. We have that right. It is a fundamental right in the First Amendment. Critics, of course, they say the laws are too broad, and it could create other First Amendment problems depending on how they're enforced. Okay, well, great analysis. I'm kidding. Like, that could apply to anything. Depending on how they're enforced. Yes, that has a lot to do with how things are enforced. Or is it selective prosecution? That's a bad thing. You see that a lot with lawfare. Is it just written so vague where it would prohibit not only unlawful conduct, but lawful conduct, which would be vague and and that would be unconstitutional. I don't think that's the case here. It looks very specific. I get it, the whole how it's enforced thing, but that's applied to anything. Most crimes you can, if it's there, you can't argue if it's not there. But if it's there, that argument's there for crimes on the books right now. And honestly, this is a new one. It's a new issue. I'm thankful that Louisiana is in the lead here. So again, Governor Landry, thank you. Legislature, thank you. This is good. This helps Democrats, Republicans, and everybody worshiping. This is fantastic. But courts will more than likely sort some of all of what I'm saying out later. This is not only new laws. This is new laws on a new subject. It's not like we have case law out there. It's not like we have a bunch of case law telling us what this means. There's no case law on the new bills because they're not even enforced right now. They're signed. I'm assuming they have an effective date. But courts will sort it out. Courts will sort it out, no doubt. But politically, this is very much part of the broader conservative push happening around the country right now. It's not just in Louisiana. Law and order is appreciated. I'm talking about real law and order off of real crimes, not political stuff. Protection of churches, of the parishioners, of church services, of religious services. That means a lot to the folks. It's protected. Protection of religious liberty in of itself. And zero tolerance for activist chaos spilling into everyday life. I mean, without this law, I mean, geez, you want to talk about broad? It's broad that these protesters can manipulate constitutional freedoms and laws on the books as to go so far to go into one of the most vulnerable places, if not the most vulnerable place, which is church, sincerely held religious beliefs. Can't get more vulnerable than that if they're genuine. But they go in there and they make this chaos everyday life. That is their thing. And by the way, where are all the protesters? Did their payroll stop? I mean, if they were that vehemently passionate about anti-ICE a month ago, 2 months ago, where'd all that passion go? Come on. Did the money leave with the TV cameras? Is that what happened? That would be so bizarre. But look, we're going to take a tiny little break, guys. When we get back, we'll continue this topic and so much more. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. Shout out to my friends over there at Giles Subaru. You see the Subarus all over town. You see the nice national commercials, which I think are all catchy. But look, the quality of that product, the Subaru, it's hard to beat, man. I get more and more impressed when I talk to Bob or talk to somebody over there, and they go into the details of what a Subaru can do. It's pretty impressive. But they're also stylish. Now, the thing about Giles Subaru, you got a wide selection, and the cool thing about it is they like to meet you where you're at. If they don't have the color you like, if there's like a certain special thing that you want for your Subaru, go to Giles Subaru because they'll work with you. If they have it in stock, which they have a pretty large selection, by the way, then it's yours right then and there. If you gotta order something outside the dealership, that's the place to go. Because being in business that long, you kind of learn some efficiencies. That's just the Giles Automotive Group. But Giles Subaru, go check them out. They got a wide range of Subarus over there. Join the club. I'm telling you, it's so cool. When you buy another one, you get like a number. I see some of them like on number 9, number 10. It's always cool to to check out. But Giles Subaru, you can't beat it. Giles Subaru on Johnson Street, right here in Lafayette by Ambassador Caffrey. And they got a pretty cool dog park too. Open to the public. Go check them out. Giles Subaru. So, we're talking about a pretty basic feeling here. All right. In Louisiana, well, if you recall back when they were paying protesters, when they had very passionate protesters, you had these folks that went so far, and you saw that with Don Lemon going into that church and disrupting religious services. Well, leaders here in Louisiana took note of that. Leaders in other states too, I would imagine. But we're taking the lead, and I love this. So Governor Landry signed into law several bills that will protect religious services and protect people in religious services from being disrupted. I think it's a common sense action there. So thank you to the governor. Thank you to the legislature. Very good. That's listening to your folks. That's good. And I don't care what motivated. If it was political, okay, it's the right thing to do. So do it. And I think most Americans, like I said, just believe and understand the basic principle we're talking about. If somebody wants to protest outside a church peacefully from a lawful vantage point, welcome to America. You can do that. If people are trying to worship and a mob storms in to the church and hijack the service for politics, folks are going to have a problem with that. Pretty straightforward. The bill just gives them some options, some coverage. You can remove people. The private citizens can remove, under this law, can remove people that are doing that. It has to be genuine, it has to be legit. You can't use deadly force. You have to have you use reasonable force. That makes sense, man, because by the time you call law enforcement, the whole service is disrupted. And you're talking about a place where people are the most vulnerable, talking to God, who sees everything. So pretty straightforward to me. Now, you know what else is not as straightforward? This Iranian thing. They're still out there. So let's switch gears here. Because Iran's doing what Iran does. Doing a little threatening. So Iran is back to threatening the good old U.S. of A. And threatening the world again. I think my response, very simple. I think the response of most Americans, very, very simple. Just like with China. Screw the Iranian regime. Screw them. Screw the Iranian regime. Not screw the Iranian people. They're victims. The Iranian regime. Man, these are some of the most gruesome folks. These are the same maniacs who spent decades funding terrorism across the globe while chanting death to America like it was their national anthem. Screw the Iranian regime. And let's remind people who these folks really are, if you've forgotten. These are the people behind Hezbollah. These are the people behind Hamas. These are the people who armed terrorists that killed and maimed American troops during the Iraq War. All those not all of them, but a lot of those IEDs, a lot of those VBEDs, vehicle-borne IED, car bombs, all that stuff. All of that. A lot of that coming from Iran, fighting the proxies. American soldiers died because of Iran and the regime. American families buried sons and daughters because of Iran. Iran held American hostages, if you don't recall, in 1979 for 444 days. Ronald Wilson Reagan gets sworn in and things happen. Iran funded terror networks all over the Middle East. Iran helped fuel instability for decades while pretending to be the victim every single time somebody finally punched back. And while they scream about human rights to the international media, look at how they treat their own people. Look at how the Iranian regime treats its own people. Women beaten for not wearing a hijab correctly. Protesters shot in the streets. Look at the event going on right before we started attacking. How many people How many people were dying over there? Remember the protest? Yeah, real good. Real good freedom. Political dissent, you're imprisoned. Journalists, silenced. Religious minorities, persecuted. Young people just disappearing. This is the Iranian regime. Internet shut down anytime the regime gets nervous. Elon's going to come in. Starlink that. This Iranian regime is brutal. It's brutal to its own citizens, and it's brutal before it's brutal to them more than it's brutal to anyone else. So when one of their generals gets online, like we're talking about right now, threatening devastating blows, Americans should understand exactly who is talking here, okay? Now, here's the part where a lot of Americans need to stay grounded and smart here, because war, and especially in 2026, and because people are asking, rightfully so. We're talking about the Iranian regime. Well, what's the answer? What's the answer? And I think that's a fair question. I'll tell you what the answer is not. It's not what we were doing. It's not what we were doing. If you want something different, you have to do something different. Time will tell if this was the right move to go in there and attack Iran. It seems like it's the right move. I know war's horrible. Trust me, I know war's horrible, and I don't want it. I don't want it on anybody. I don't want war at all. But I don't want American bodies continue to be returned home in body bags or having casualties in the United States. When people are at war against you, when they say death to America constantly in all their rhetoric, when a country or a regime is at war with you and you're not at war back with them, bad things happen for the unprepared side. Bad things happen in battle when you're always on the reactive, when you're always on the defense. The whole good offense or a good defense is a good offense. That is very much prevalent in war strategy. Just sitting there like a duck on a hill waiting to get destroyed is not bringing fear to the enemy. They're just saying thank you. And can you please continue to be? Can you continue to talk about Green New Deal and things like that? Silly Americans. Anyway, how are we doing on time, Walt? Break! I was on a roll. All right, we're going to take a tiny little break, man. When we get back, we're going to keep having some fun. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. Let me tell you about my friends over there at Dr. Kevin's Wellness Clinic. Dr. Kevin, 983-CARE, 337-983-CARE. You can't go wrong. Dr. Kevin's Wellness Clinic. Again, look, whether you want, hey, if you got the COVID shot or if you got the boosters or whatnot, you have questions on what is that doing to your body, is there a way to literally detox? I'll have to tell you, yes, there is. Yes, there is. So go see Dr. Kevin. Maybe that's one of the things that's concerning you. Maybe it's some other things. I'm not anti-vaccines, but maybe there is a vaccine that you took that you're kind of questioning. Go talk to him because he'll shoot you straight. That's what I love about it. But take the vaccine stuff out. Just feeling better. Just being able to maybe take charge of your life a little bit. I can only tell you my own personal experience. And me and my wife and several of my friends, even Jamie on the show, he was texting me the other day saying he's going to Dr. Kevin's. Look, we all feel better. I know that I was on 2 medications that I'm no longer on those medications, and I'll just kind of leave it at that, which is great. So I love that, and I feel better. So I want you to feel better as well. You got nothing to lose. Give them a call, 983-CARE, 983-CARE, here in Lafayette, Louisiana, Dr. Kevin's Wellness Clinic. One thing I do care about is the situation in Iran and the Iranian regime. Last segment, we talked about some history, some relevant history on the good citizens of the world there, the Iranian regime. Of course, I'm joking. But people are asking, fairly, is what we're doing in Iran right now, is that working? Is that the right way to do it? Is that how we should be handling these terrorists, this terrorist state, fighting us from abroad behind dark alleys? Is what we're doing right? I just say this. In time, we're going to know. We're not going to know right now. We're going to know in a few years. We're going to know in about 20 years. Okay? 15, 20 years. We're going to see. But in the now, I kind of have to say, again, what we were doing was not working. October 7th happened for a reason. Because we were weak. Because we were not proactive. Because we had an entity at war with us, and we chose not to be at war with them. So now we're here. But I know what we were doing was not the right way. So we got to do something different. If you look at how the president's doing it, very strategic strikes in and out. So far, to our knowledge, there's not been ground troops. Maybe, maybe not. Let them fight the wars, not us. But I know what we were doing before clearly was not working. So I give this man, Trump, major kudos for this. Look, this is not some one-term president. This is a guy that had 4 years and then sat out for 4 years, but still maintained his relationships. Had some time to think. Had some time to say, yeah, I could have done that better. Or, doggone, I should have done that because this would have helped people this way. That happens when you're out of office and you observe. You start to see, hey, yeah, you know. I mean, I guess if you're one to look in the mirror. But regardless, for years and years, what we have seen is presidents from both parties talk tough about Iran. We're going to stick it to Iran. While Iran kept getting richer, more aggressive, more dangerous, and closer to nuclear capability. That's what that approach got us. So I don't like that approach. I don't think that approach is the way to go. Iran kept funding terror, kept destabilizing the region. We've seen all this. Kept threatening Israel, kept targeting Americans, kept playing games. At some point, eventually somebody was going to force a confrontation with reality because they were operating in a world that was, well, it was starting to become common. We were getting so complacent. So complacent. Now, again, whether every move here ends up perfect long term, nobody knows yet. We just don't. Foreign policy, it's complicated. We're talking to cultures and countries and people that are different than us. They have to go through the same thing with dealing with us. But it's different. Our ideas in the West, especially our ideas and our way of life in the United States, is so much different. So much different than the rest of the world, especially in the Middle East. Leaders in the Middle East respect one thing: strength. That's it. That's it. But a lot of Americans understand weakness invites aggression. We don't need a long history lesson to know that. You can just look at recent history. And right now, Iran's leadership is literally hiding underground while threatening the world through social media posts. That should tell you something. Meanwhile, you got Trump over there trying to walk a line that, honestly, a lot of Republicans support, a lot of Americans support, which is strength without rushing into endless occupation wars. There's some on Capitol Hill that want to turn this into another Iraq, Afghanistan. In the minority, of course. There's some that want to go, there's a lot that want to go right back to where we were, getting screwed by the Iranian government. Ayatollah or Ayatollahs. I think we're on Ayatollah 3. Questions about that. Still waiting. Still waiting. But that's the distinction here. You know, a lot of us are just tired. Tired of America being the world's babysitter. We remember Iraq. We remember Afghanistan. We remember 20 years of nation building while Washington elites lied to everybody about progress. We've seen all that. We can learn from all that. And I think Trump knows that. But also, you know, a lot of folks believe that America should hit hard when enemies threaten us. And Iran absolutely has threatened us. And this ain't the first time. That's why you're seeing Trump push diplomacy publicly while also keeping military pressure sitting right there on the table, right up in their face. That uncertainty may be exactly why Iran's leaders are panicking right now. I'd have to say it's probably a large part, a large reason. Because for the first time in a very long time in our country, or in the world's history, they probably believe America actually means it this time. They actually mean it. One final thing on this. China's watching this. Russia's watching this. North Korea's watching this. Our allies are watching this. Our foes are watching this. The whole world watches how America responds to hostile regimes. Strength, credibility, all that matters. Deterrence, it's important. And after years of drift and weakness on the world stage, a whole lot of Americans decided they were done watching the United States doggone apologize while our enemies kept advancing. It's inconceivable to most Americans on that, or to a lot of Americans. But we'll take a tiny little break. When we get back, we'll finish the show strong. I can't wait. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. Shout out to my friends over there, Dr. Stacy St. Marie Orthodontics. You can't go wrong with that. Dr. Stacy St. Marie, he's probably one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. And guess what? That rubs off on the staff, of course. The staff always takes the mentality, usually of the leader. And this leader is kind, smart, and definitely wants to help you out. Look, my kids went to him. I love him. I consider him a very good friend, too, by the way. And just a really good dude. But his staff is there. Staff is there for you as well. And look, they got a new doctor in the office, and more patients can be seen, more patients can be serviced. But you're gonna like the way you feel. I think I've heard that before. But Dr. Stacy St. Marie at St. Marie Orthodontics, go get that smile you've always been dreamed of. And look, they even have in those invisible liners or whatnot. Go ask them if you qualify for it. They'll shoot you straight. I love that, good, bad, or ugly. But whether you're an adult, maybe you had braces before, and you're like, they shifted a little bit. Don't wait. Go see Dr. Stacy St. Marie at St. Marie Orthodontics, or maybe your kids need some braces. Go visit them. St. Marie Orthodontics here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Make sure you tell the staff that Josh and Jamie said hello. Walk, you ever heard of Trump RX?
Nope.
It's not Obamacare. It's better. It's Trump. So, President Trump announced, I believe yesterday or the day before, that Trump RX Trump RX is expanding from around 40 medications to more than 600 generic drugs. That's a lot. So you had 40 on this plan, now 600. You might be asking though, hey, Guillory, what is Trump RX? So it's basically a government-backed prescription discount platform where Americans can go online, they can search medications, they can compare prices, and they get access to discounted prescription drugs through participating companies and pharmacies. How? What a novel idea. You know, what that looks like to me is a clever way to get around these state-bordered insurance self-created obstacles, okay? Meaning, I'm in Louisiana. If Blue Cross Blue Shield Montana is better for my family, why can't we get it? This is America. I don't know why anybody's not argued the 14th Amendment Privileges and Immunities Clause. I know I'm nerding out. But that seems like that would be invoked. Wish we had live calls I could call for someone way smarter than me to call in. But look, that's an interesting concept though, to make these companies compete. And when there's competition, we in a capitalistic country, we still are for the most part, we understand what competition breeds. It breeds innovation. It breeds thinking outside the box, conceptual thinking. It breeds, hey, can we make this work? Is there somebody on our tail about to take our business? We better be better than that. We need to improve. Capitalism has a funny way of doing that. So I always say, give capitalism a chance. Just like I say, give democracy a chance. Why do you have to tilt the scales with these congressional maps? Why can't we just vote? Why can't we just have regular districts? Because we have children running the show. So now we have to do it politically. And if we don't do it in Louisiana, we're not helping the Republican cause, that's for sure. Because the Democrat states are about to do it. Don't let Virginia. Virginia is such a one-off. Virginia shooting down that 10-1 Democrat map. That's because they didn't follow Virginia procedure. They can fix that. If their voters would let them. See, I don't think they went about it a different way. I know it's not our topic, but if you want to Google it, it's pretty interesting to follow. So think of this Trump RX like good RX, basically. Okay, if you're familiar with that. Like a good RX style pricing. But, of course, branded through the Trump administration and tied into broader healthcare cost-cutting efforts. We had Obamacare, it stunk. Trump RX, much different, more competition. And here's what made the rollout a little interesting. This one, actually, this is what caught my eye glancing on the article. It wasn't even about Trump RX. It was that Mark Cuban, of all people, one of the biggest Trump critics, well, he joined the White House announcement. You know, Cuban runs cost plus drugs. I didn't realize this. He's got his hands in a lot of buckets. This cost plus drugs, it basically spent years exposing how ridiculous prescription markups can get in this country, in the land of the free. You know? And honestly, this issue, it has nothing to do with party. Democrats, Republicans, and everything in between, prescriptions are prescriptions. And prescription costs, that hits us all. Republicans want cheaper drugs. Democrats want cheaper drugs. Independents want cheaper drugs. A lot of Americans are sick of paying absurd prices for medications that have been around forever. We're tired of subsidizing the rest of the world, and that is what is happening. We're paying more for the same molecule as other countries are paying, but we're paying more. Same company. Yeah, part of that is some costs outside of overhead costs that outside the regular consumer's wheelhouse or control. But we're subsidizing the world's medication supply. In part. But really, why does that same molecule cost that much more? We ask the wrong question in this country about healthcare. We always ask, well, who's going to pay for it? Who's going to pay for it? Is it going to be the government? Is it going to be the individual? Is it going to be both? Is it going to be somebody else? Who's going to pay for it? That ain't the right question. The question should be, Why does it cost so much? A good leader asks the right questions and is objective and is flexible. Last thing you want in a leader is rigid, not able to change based on new circumstances, just real bullheaded, not grounded, not asking the right questions. A lot of people care, they just don't ask the right questions. And they go in a rabbit hole. I am so guilty. I do legal briefs all the time. I have to remind myself, get back to what you're talking about. So we're busy. And when it comes to cost of prescriptions, man, we talked about churches earlier. That hits home. Cost of prescriptions is a close second or third when we're talking about how it impacts the individual human. Now, some people, rightfully so, I get it, are skeptical about how much this helps folks with really good insurance. Okay, again, the guy is just trying to do something different. You come up with an idea. All these people want to criticize. Man, don't come to me with a problem without a recommended solution. And any of my former directors listening, they're probably like, yep, don't make excuses, be honest, and don't go to them with a problem without a recommended solution. Well, it's true. Everybody else, like all these little Monday morning quarterbacks I'm not attacking the media, but in the media, in the mass media, what's your solution? You want to keep doing the same thing? That's insane if you want different results. Now, if you want the same results, well, then you're just insane. I say that with love, Walk. I say that with love. So, all right, guys, that's all we got today. Oh, my goodness. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Look, we'll be back. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. Today's Thursday, Walk. We're going to have a live remote tomorrow from what's scheduled, Rustic Renegade. So go check us out. You can come visit us over there. They got a lot of guns. So, guys, be careful out there. May God bless you and be kind. All right. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. Man, we are broadcasting exclusively for Rumble.com, Rumble, and KLFY Plus and our streaming platforms. We certainly appreciate you guys. Let's continue our discussion here on this prescription situation in America. Look, I say it all the time, and I'm going to say it again because it's worth saying. In America, we ask the wrong question when it comes to healthcare costs, whether it's prescription or actually healthcare, okay? And we always ask, who's going to pay for it? Is it the government? Is it the private sector? Is it both? Is it companies? Is it somebody else? Is it the aliens? I don't know, all right? But that's not the right answer. We've tried that. And it keeps getting up and up and up. The question it should be, why does health insurance, why does health care, why does prescription drugs, this is what we're talking about, why does that cost so much in the United States? That is the ultimate question. We're not asking the right question. And when we start answering that question, we'll get to the root of it. Now, Trump has this Trump RX that came out. We covered that last segment. And it's pretty interesting. It's basically like a good RX style pricing, but it's going through the Trump administration. It's like not a depository, but a central like meeting place, with all these companies. It's an exchange. It's an exchange. Mark Cuban, who has very much been a critic of President Trump, was at the White House during the announcement. And, Cuban, if you didn't know this, he runs Cost Plus Drugs. He's been doing that for years, trying to focus on exposing how ridiculous prescription markups can get, especially in the United States. And, that issue right there, that's not a Republican issue or Democrat issue. But you got some folks that are skeptical. Got some folks that are skeptical about how much this helps. Okay, that's fair. But I got to tell you, for people paying in cash, people with high deductibles, people buying medication, insurance barely covers. Those three groups, if your insurance is not covering it, if your deductible is so crazy high, or if you're paying cash, all of this with Trump RX could matter. And it could actually matter a lot. Think about it. There's so many people watching right now, listening, that you fit in one of those categories, I'm sure. Not maybe not. And if you don't, great. Great. And look, if you do identify as a conservative, just one thought, how are we doing this is a good question. All right. This is not government nationalizing healthcare. I want to say that. This is not like Obamacare 3.0 or whatever. This is competition. This is transparency. This is negotiated pricing. And really, this is probably a lot about putting pressure on the pharmaceutical middlemen who've been making a killing for years on this. Just one of the reasons, one of the many, many, many reasons. But that's why you're seeing strange political combinations here. I mean, you got Trump, you got Mark Cuban, you got Dr. Oz, all standing there talking about lowering prescription prices. I'd say that's a good welcome to 2026 politics, I would say. And look, and frankly, if Americans can save money at the pharmacy counter, if most people are going to care, okay? They're going to care a whole lot more about that than which political tribe gets credit for it. Have you felt anything recently, Walk? You seem like you're a healthy man.
No, I haven't felt anything.
Nothing?
No.
Okay.
It's been a while.
So if you're getting just crushed on this kind of stuff, what would your thoughts be as far as this Trump RX? Isn't it refreshing to see somebody do something different?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Something that you really haven't seen too much of.
I agree. Just thinking outside the box. All he's doing with this Trump RX, it's like good RX, like I said, but it's just went from 36 drugs to now more than 600 on this exchange, this market, and it's just really a transparency tool. It's a meeting place for people to compete, to companies to compete, and that's going to be, he's got some really good ideas. I will give him that. I know folks don't like his personality sometimes. I don't care. Just do the job. I really don't care at this point. It just doesn't bother me. But let's go stay in Louisiana. We got some time for Rumble. We got some time for KLFY Plus. We can keep going a little bit. So this is I think this is a little good news coming out of Baton Rouge. Governor Landry, we talked about him yesterday's show for KLFY. Some bills in regards to churches and stuff like that and protecting churchgoers from all these disruptions called protests, but really it's more than that. That was good. But Governor Landry also signed a bill into law that gets rid of work permits for 16 and 17-year-olds trying to get part-time jobs in Louisiana. How many folks didn't know that a 16-year-old or 17-year-old has to get a worker's permit? A lot of folks don't know because a lot of us, when we were working at 14 and 15 and 16, we didn't need to get I never had to get a worker's permit. Maybe I should have, but I feel like that wasn't a thing because I never got it. And I've been working since I was 14, so I don't know. But honestly, good. Great job, legislature. Great job, governor. This is a good one. For years, a teenager in our great state who wanted to go scoop some ice cream. I had to pick one. How about bagging groceries? You want to go there? Bagging groceries, is that better? All this stuff. Cutting grass, whatever it is. Cutting grass, that's a good example. That's a good example. They would first had to go to government for permission. Now, doggone. In a country that's built on personal responsibility and carrying our own weight individually so that collectively we can all be good, in that right-to-work state that we are, we needed 16 and 17-year-olds to doggone go get permission from the government. Did we ever hear of parents who is the governing body of their children Just think about it. Think how ridiculous that became. Kids want a Christmas job. School board office closed. No permit. No job. Because they get it through the school board. That's the kind of nonsense that drives, I think, normal people a little crazy. Get a little cray-cray over there. It doesn't make sense. My boy over there, Josh Carlson, working hard. Representative Josh Carlson out of Lafayette Parish. He pushed this bill because he's a good guy and smart. And his point was simple. Parents should decide whether their kid can work. Not a bureaucracy. Thank you, Representative Carlson. Wonderful guy. I got to serve with him for 4 years, but we have a lifelong friendship. Wonderful dude. And I say exactly. That is exactly what Representative Carlson, his colleagues in the House, his colleagues in the Senate, and the governor, that's exactly what they're saying. And that is fantastic. I mean, let's really put this in perspective here. You got a 16-year-old who can drive a vehicle, a 17-year-old who can enlist in the military with parental permission, but somehow we needed a stack of paperwork and a school office stamp so they could work 20 hours a week at Chick-fil-A. That just makes much sense, doesn't it? No! And by the way, this doesn't eliminate labor laws. I know some folks might be thinking that. The hour restrictions stay in place. They did not change the substance of the laws. The protections stay in place. The rules about when minors can work, that all still exists. This just cuts out pointless government middlemen. Kind of like what Trump is doing with Trump RX, the governor and the legislature are doing with kids working. Cut out the middleman. Let parents govern their children. We don't need to be a nanny state. We're already big enough nanny state as it is. But we're getting better. I think we're getting better. You know, a first job teaches. Man, everybody remember their first job? What did it teach you? Taught you responsibility. Taught you that people have to count on you and you got to show up. Got to show up on time. Communication. How many times when you first start, or if you have a kid that's working right now for the first time, I mean, just little things like going to talk to a supervisor about whatever. When's my shift? All those are first conversations. You know, it teaches money management. Teaches humility. Huh? Your first job taught you a lot of humility, I bet. Mine did. A teenager learns fast. Fast. They learn fast when they work a Saturday shift and see taxes come out of that paycheck. It's like a civics lesson every paycheck. Ask where those taxes went, boy or girl. Basically, welcome to America, kid. A whole lot of successful people in our great state started with part-time jobs at 16 and 17 or younger. I mean, when did that become? So a 14 and 15-year-old can't work now? Is that I don't know. I don't know the law on that. I knew the work permit thing. That just sounds absurd to me. I mean, if you got a family that the kid wants to work and the family's okay with it, because you're not getting rid of the labor laws. I'm just saying some of the restrictions. I wouldn't be who I was if I didn't start working part-time at the ripe old age of 14. I was so thankful to Coach Dwayne Urbina for hiring me at Ash Sports Camp. Talk about humility. I cleaned every dang bathroom and floor. I thought I was going to be a coach. Yeah, you're 14, kid. Be quiet. He eventually let me coach. I loved it. Then I ended up volunteer coaching when I got kids. Spent 10 years volunteer coaching. It's pretty cool. Maybe I'll go back. Who knows? But this country, honestly, has got to stop acting like every teenager is fragile glass that has to be managed by a committee of bureaucrats. Let them work. Let them learn. Let them grow up. Because I'm telling you, the enemies of the world, they don't have these little softening restrictions. Not going to get on a high horse here, but there is a lot to be said about we can't pansy the whole next generation. So the current generation, it's on us. And I don't think we are. I think the Gen X, millennial, or transgen. Walk, did you know I'm transgen? Yeah. What? Walker, you didn't know I was trans? Dude, I was born January 8th, 1983. Well, one demographer, well, actually more than one demographer. The one I reference is Harvard, okay, and it says I'm in Generation X. And a lot of other ones say I'm an OG millennial. So that makes me transgenerational. You feel me? I wanted to get a shirt, but Danielle said I couldn't do it. It would be too much. I'm like, what do you mean? I can't have my rights either as a transgenerational? So anyway, but us transgenerationals from millennial and Gen X and some baby boomers, if you're still raising kids, it's on us. It's our duty to not soften the next crop. Give them chores. Discipline them like a loving father or mother would do. God disciplines us because he loves us. If he didn't love us, he would just abandon us, and he'll never do that. He's true to his covenant. We got to be true to ours. So anyway, I'll stop preaching. Guys, thank y'all so much. It was a great, great show today. Shout out to our KLFY Plus viewing audience, our Rumble audience, all our streaming audience. Guys, be careful out there. May God bless you, and be kind.